And good afternoon, racing fans. Welcome to Hawthorne Racecourse for a Sunday afternoon of thoroughbred action. Jim Miller and Emily Gullikson up here in our mezzanine level studio on closing day of the thoroughbred meet. Emily, 12 races today, fast main track, firm turf, a whole lot of horses in on the card today to close things out.
Only 12?
Only 12. We could have gone 14.
Oh my.
We filled 14, so there could have been
Oh
more.
wow.
Yeah.
I was being a little sarcastic, but
Yep.
yeah, no, it's nice. I'm excited for it. We've had just such a great meet, such good weather for closing day. Really exciting to kind of get into this card. Some good sized fields too,
Yep.
and you added a bet, so I want to make sure people are aware. I'm sure Peter gave it in the announcement,
Right.
but that middle pick 4.
Yeah, mid-card pick 4 starting in race number 6. Mandatory payouts on all our wagers today. The only thing that could possibly carry over is if a superfecta isn't hit in the first 11 races, but it does have to pay on race 12 today as well. Orlando Mojica will be our leading jockey. He has a large gap in the jockey standings. Larry Ravelli enters today, currently up 2 on Chris Block. Chris Block does have 2 chances today. Ravelli has 3. Ishmael Thoroughbreds is up 1 in the owner standings over Team Block. Each of them have multiple chances in, so it could go down to the wire for both of those categories for the meet leaders. But let's jump into the card here, Emily, because we do have a whole lot to talk about. So we'll kind of focus on the main contenders in each of the races. But race 1, 6250 maidens, they go 3/4 of a mile in the first. Field of 7 right now. Gray Mike, the 0 for 20 horse, is currently your 5-2 favorite in the opener. Not for me, not for you either.
Yeah, but the early money is notable. I noticed that right away, and still holding favoritism. I was trying to get a little bit creative with number 1 Ultimate Fighter, just thinking third start off the layoff, is able to show speed off the bench, has the inside today. If they're able to cycle back to a top, would be able to get the jump on the main contender, number 5 Malibu Brad, who maybe just catches the right field in time.
Yeah, we'll see kind of how things unfold today. As Peter mentioned, that strong headwind in the stretch usually does favor front-end runners, so that's something to see. We'll get a good idea of that because Ultimate Fighter should be the one that is on the lead in the opener. We'll just see if Malibu Brad can run that one down or if it's someone else to kick off the day. Races 2, 4, 6, and 8 are on the turf today, so the second goes 7.5 furlongs, $20,000 claimers in the second. It's a field of 11 to line up in this spot. Michelle Boyce has 2 in here, Cat Attack and Freedom Last. Both should take some action. You and I were both kind of liking Freedom Last. The horse that was actually claimed down in Louisiana Downs for that last out comes back here to Hawthorne today.
And mentioned on the Sunday at Hawthorne show this morning that it started off the career with Michelle Boyce, so followed this one all the way back here at Hawthorne. Should be able to get the right stock and trip, and that's going to be key. Just going back to closing day last year where the turf course played fast and helped speed, and maybe that helps number 2 Cat Attack, so I wouldn't dismiss either of the Boyce runners in there. And I also want to give a mention number 10, She's Wonderful, one that's going to come off an excuse, and E.T. Barrett aboard, the win rider from prior seasons.
E.T. rode very well on the turf course on Thursday too. He had an excellent day there, and one of them was for trainer Patty Miller, so something to definitely keep an eye on there, and we'll see kind of how things unfold for how the turf's going to play there in race number 2. Race 3 today, 12-5 claimers, now winners of 2 races lifetime. We go 3/4 of a mile in the spot. It's a field of 7 to line up. This is the race where Ravelli can wrap up the training title with the 4, a whole lot of loot. Horse that'll probably be the favorite. You get the meet's leading rider, Orlando Mojica, in the saddle. It's just a matter of if anyone can catch this one on the front end.
Yeah, a lot of leading in here, and this one will look to lead as well. Should have a pace advantage coming in off the bench. They did run for a tag last out, so less concerning, especially with that trainer title where just aggressive moves are often made. So I think they're going to be tough in there. They were trying to get creative. Number 5 Dash for the Cash and number 5 Shaman Says. Those 2 runners, but again, I have no knocks on a whole lot of loot, most likely winner.
Yeah, I have Shaman Says in the mix as well. I thought that horse could be a factor. A whole lot of loot because they're the Illinois bred. They get to run for a little bit higher tag, so they run for the 18-8 in there. We're taking the shot. They'll see if somebody drops in. I'm not sure if they will or not because you're at the end of the meet, so you can't run for that Illinois bonus until you get to next year. So maybe a well-timed move there for Ravelli with a whole lot of loot in the third. 4th race on the card, $10,000 starter optional company here. They go a mile and a 16th in the 4th. Take out the 3, Auspicious Style. Take out the 4, Stormborn. The 10, Vansky, and the 13, Double Thunder. So Steve Simonovich does not get to bet Auspicious Style in the spot. Opens things up a little bit. I went to Wicked Surprise in here. Bandit Swanson, I know a horse you gave a little bit of a look to as well. And Aviano was a long shot play for you, right?
Yeah, Aviano returning to the circuit and the turf course in the 3rd start of the cycle. He fits with this group on his best day. And I think this connections find this spot. It's pretty clever where they can run, keep this one protected. Just has some varied form, but some of the scratches in here, especially the big scratch of Auspicious Style, definitely will benefit your horse, number 11, Wicked Surprise, one that's done his better running on or near the lead. And again, just watch that trend early on in the turf races to see if that speed is holding.
Yeah, Wicked Styles fast to the front, should be forwardly placed. Bacaneko ran a very good race in that last out and wheels back quickly for this return just a couple of weeks. River Redemption is another one that's been pretty solid throughout the course of the meet. So it's a tough race there for the fourth. Multiple ways you can go, but again, with Auspicious Style out of there, kind of changes how the betting's going to be for that spot as well. Race 5 today, a good race on the main track. These are $50,000 optional claimers here. Both Armandos are out though. Lundberg is out and King Anthony. Both were going to be major players in this spot. Again, it kind of changes the complexion of the race. Eli's Promise could be a little bit of a factor. Maybe went west in here. Tim Padilla's got 2 though. I went one way, you went the other. You went to the horse that'll be a little bit more of a price on the board as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming into the same common race. We're talking about number 4 in Captured Warrior, number 9 Divine Leader, and I just thought Divine Leader really wasn't asked for their best or really intended on the day. He was cold on the 3-1 morning line, and he has back numbers, and those back numbers just stand out in this field. So it's always a little bit of a stab, a horse running back to it, but I think this would be the time and place. Definitely be looking at the board and looking at the horse in the paddock to see if there's some positive signs to support that. But as you mentioned, this is a really tough race. I would not discount number 5 Went West in here, and number 8 Eli's Promise as well should be able to get a very favorable trip, especially with those scratches. Number 6 Congrats on 50 could certainly benefit, maybe even as the lone speed now in here, or at least force Eli's Promise to push the pace.
Yeah, kudos to Tim Padilla. This is kind of a stopover from the end of Canterbury before they head onward to their next stop for the winter. And it's not like they came just to kind of sit here. They came and looked for spots to run, and they've been running actually quite well. So something to definitely take a look at in this spot. We'll see kind of how things unfold in this race, but on Captured Warrior, not a bad effort in that last out. And let's see if one of the Tim Padilla horses can get up in time there in race number 5. In the 6th race today, we go 7.5 furlongs on the firm turf course. We're going to scratch the 3 Connie's Coupe, the 4 Golden Bandit, who I originally had on top, and the 13 Empire Builder. Towering Storm drawing in becomes a major player in this spot. That's who I switched to on top. I know Steve liked that horse this morning, but the presence of this horse really changes the complexion of the race too.
Yeah, and then it also changes the rider. I'm on number 5, Swift As I Am. David Cohen was initially aboard. We'll pick up the mount on Towering Storm. And as far as number 5, Swift As I Am, he's going to come back around. Took a tough beat in both place finishes earlier this year. He started back a form cycle in August, a race that was taken off the turf. Looked like they're going to be a prep. Now, the distance change is a little bit of an unknown. He hasn't been around 2 turns quite a long time, but both those races down in California weren't bad. Numbers that stack up on par, so willing to take a little bit of a swing. And I'll also give a mention number 10 American Mayhem, one that could just trip out. He's got some early speed, should be able to sit right close to the pace setters, look to take first run. And they've given a little bit more time, scratch out of the stakes race, and they're going to run here instead, and I think that's the key.
Yeah, a couple of starts on the year for American Mayhem, really a good effort in that last out, should be a factor. You have Block with Battle Scars on the inside and Towering Storm on the outside as well. Woodcock Flight, who ran in the Carry, is in the spot it is. It's a good, solid field. You mentioned the Tanner Tracy runner, and that's something that you definitely want to take a look to as well, because he's had himself a good meet.
And Savako, who would be the, quote-unquote third Chris Block runner, who's got some form as well, returning to the turf.
Yeah, Savako, a horse that has run well earlier on in the meet, too. Race 7 allowance runners in the spot. They go 3/4 of a mile. Scratch the 3, Where You At Vince. Scratch the 5, a Russian to Win. Leaves you with a field of 9. Again, another shot for Ravelli in here. He's got Willie Bird. Boat Song could be a factor along the inside. Stranger Range maybe. But I think Willie Bird is going to be very tough in the 7th.
I know you think so, and I love your confidence, and that makes me give this horse some credit. I still think that maiden race leaves something to prove, but maybe he was just better than those group, and he just can step up here. But I gave a look to number 1, Boat Song, with the scratch of number 3, Where You At Vince. He's going to return to Hawthorne. They're looking for the first win this season. He's turning competitive races. Those are very tough spots out at Oaklawn Park, and then has upside from the excuse in September at Canterbury Park. So excuse with the timing just in that ride. It was against the race flow. Certainly hasn't moved forward. I think they're in the right spot to compete in here with that buried form. Should be a square price.
Yeah, I picked Boat Song second in the spot. I thought the horse had a shot too. And you know what? The races this summer, it's weird because you see those optional claiming races, but those are actually pretty quality bunches up there at Canterbury Park too. They're kind of on par with these allowance fields here. And when you look at some of the scratches in the spot, like Where You At Vince was going to be a player. Russian to Win was coming in off a really good performance in that last out. But You know what, Willie Bird to me, just kind of try to scoot out there, see if they can make the top, take them the whole way around. We'll find out if they have company in this spot too. That's going to be kind of the question for that horse today.
Yeah, and that will really come down to the rider's decisions with some of those horses that are more EP types that can show early speed. And if there is that contentious pace, number 8 Atkins is definitely an upgrade, one that's coming in with form that will look to scoop and pick up horses late.
All right, race 8, the last turf race of the meet. Allowance runners, they go 1 mile on the firm turf course here. Scratch to 7, War Rascal. 13 does draw in, caught off guard. I haven't seen a scratch yet on the 14 money map. It might be waiting. They're out now?
Yeah.
All right, so
scrolling down at the bottom.
Money map is now out of this spot, so you are still going to get a full field of 12 in here. But looking up and down this field, Sharp Stick I thought could be a factor. Say Magnifique, Professor Higgins we talked about on the show. You get 2 speeds on the outside, all choked up and man on attack. But I know you like Say Magnifique in this race.
I do. I mean, the race going back to that allowance on August 4th was really competitive. Just, Towering Storm, we'll see earlier on the card, was able to get first run, established first run, and Say Magnifique has been just forced to be patient, waiting for a grass race. It had a lot of buried form going back to races earlier in the year. I think they fit in here. Trip is going to be key just with their run style, but there should be speed, as you mentioned. The 2 outside runners are certainly going to keep that pace honest. And based on the run style, based on the inside draw, I think that upgrade Sharp Stick, who probably needs those advantages, but he gets them.
Yeah, and Sharp Stick from the inside should just get that good stalking trip. Chris Amy rode a really nice winner on the grass on the Thursday card. He's aboard this one today. I'll be curious to see kind of what the action is, because if Say Magnifique, this horse was 9-1, and that last start ran that really good race. I don't know if we're going to get 8-1 or not in here. We may not, but even the wind's been solid. They'll take action. Like I said, the outside horses. And Simple Logic was a horse that always used to get bet time and again and again and again, and slowly started to turn things around in recent starts. So I'll be curious to see what kind of action that one takes in the 8th race as well. 9th race, $5,000 claimers. They go 3/4 of a mile in the 9th. Again, a field of 12. The 13 and 14 we're waiting. I'll see if they have scratched out yet or not. But
according to the scroll at the bottom, they have.
All right, so Sweet Crystal's out. Lady Atlantic's out. I still think, regardless of how many are in this race, I think Lost Sunset just kind of makes the top in this field and never looks back.
Yeah, I think she could be very tough in here. Definitely has the controlling speed, so no excuses on that front. You don't have to wait for horses to just kind of work out your trip in a full field behind, which can be problematic for some of the others. So Lost Sunset, certainly the horse to beat. I gave a long shot look to number 5, Mystic Storm. Maybe just going to kind of sneak away on the board. One that's going to come back out of a subtle trip, not necessarily clear excuses, but they're more those subtle races, was taking money, maybe just finds the right everything coming together, right time and place and price.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's definitely worth taking a look at in here. I mean, you get a horse like Written Consent coming in off a couple of victories into the spot, but these are the races that are kind of weird because there's not always a whole lot of consistent form. So every once in a while, somebody else steps up and runs that big race. We saw it earlier on in the meet when Lady Atlantic had won against similar company at 75-1. So it's just kind of a whole group of horses that kind of beats up on one another. But let's see, I still think if Lost Sunset's loose, they might be able to just kind of cruise along and coast there in race number 9. In the 10th, we go 1 mile and 16th in the. These are straight $5,000 claimers in this spot. Looking up and down the board, Millard's Smile is going to take a whole lot of action. Euclid Avenue, I know a horse you gave a little bit of a look to. Wasn't a whole lot of pace in this race.
And that's why I gave a look to Euclid Avenue, because they have the option to be the controlling speed in here. That's where they do their better running, finding things that way, and should be able to coast out on the front end, try to take them gate to wire, and that's the key to turn the tables on a horse like number 3, Millard Smile, who's been consistent but makes that run from off the pace in here. I also have to give a look back to number 8, Landmark Deal, one that ran against the bias last out. Needs some racing luck, but definitely a horse that is, when they talk about in horse racing, somebody being due.
There you go. Yeah, Landmark Deal is probably due. Yeah, Millard Smile was in that race for Christmas present, absolutely controlled things on the front end. It ran a really nice race out there. Millard Smile closed some ground to finish 3rd. Devil Vision came back to run well on Thursday. I'm with you. I think Euclid Avenue will be a factor. I picked that one 2nd there, but Millard Smile was the one that I gave the nod to there in race number 10. In the 11th, $5,000 claimers, not winners of 2 races. They sprint 3/4. You get a field of 9 to line up in here. I saw you gave a little bit of a look to the outside horse, the 9, Echo Dreamer, the Indiana bred, who actually had the maiden breaker here, and that was at a massive, massive price.
Yeah, so I like that combination. Plus, just in terms of today's race shape, looking at the plot, it should be contentious. There's that fire combined with a 34 speed rate. Should have horses forwardly placed, and being on the outside should be able to sit behind that first flight. look to take first run. She picked up the maiden win on opening day. Maybe picks up the second one on closing day.
Yeah,
so
that could.
I like that. I like the little storyline.
Yeah, why not? Could possibly be a factor. Peggy's Way is just, I can't trust the horse on top because the horse is going to be a short price. Often runs okay, but just oftentimes has been disappointing. Accelerating Babe is the route that I went to in here. David Cohen rode last out in the slop, gave the horse a good ride in there and finished in second. Blanca Candela is just the one win on the meet, but 10 of 18 on the board. The horses have all been running well from that barn. I think they're going to put forth a good effort, good tracking trip, and I'll see if Accelerating Babe can get up in time there in the 11th. And then in the finale, the last race on the card, high five wagering. We do have that mandatory payout in the high five. You get a field of 10 to line up, 5 claimers. They go 3/4 of a mile in the last. And Emily, looking at this spot, Larry Ravelli has ribs on a roll in here. Horse that was claimed for that last, back in for 7,500 today for the final race of the meet.
Yes, and they could be controlling speed in here. That's when they're at their best. Again, looking at the plot, should be able to get out in front. Now, it's not necessarily a horse that has a lot of finishing ability. It's going to have to coast on the front end, try to get clear, just have enough to hold late. That looks to be the plan. Could look to turn the tables on some of the others. As you mentioned, Chris was present earlier. Was able to control the pace, but a different game sprinting to just being able to kind of gallop around 2 turns. And then I'm also going to give a look right back to number 7, Pinballer. One that just took a tough trip last out a couple times this meet already. Reunites with E.T. Baird, so that could be a positive. That was the maiden win rider. Some intent in the finale.
Yeah, it's a good competitive race for the last. McVicker could be a key horse as they could show a little bit of speed in this spot as well. Breaking News is the one that I'm going to go to in the last. I think the horse has just been pretty consistent throughout the course of the year. 8 of 10 on the board, solid over the racetrack. I don't mind the outside draw, long run down the backside. Maybe if they get that pace to chase, should be able to rate, should be able to run on late. Let's see if that one can win the final race of the meet. All right. That's how we see all 12 races there on the
I wish we
Sunday
had
card.
I wish we had like another 30 minutes to go through because I felt like there's a couple little nuggets that wanted to mention, and since I'll be heading over to Villa Park, you're just gonna have
You're
to
going to be helping some of the handicappers over there, maybe
if
if
they're
they're
on the website for those thoughts.
Check out the picks on the website, the analysis on there. Again, Emily will be headed over to Villa Park. It's the finals of the Benjamins contest that's been going on all meet long. That'll be taking place there today, so good luck to all of those qualifiers for that. We'll be checking in a couple times throughout the course of the card there. But let's check in right now in the field for the opener is here in race number 1, 6,250 claimers as we offer Win Play Show, Exacta, Trifecta, Superfecta, Double, Pick 3, Pick 5, Place Pick 8, wagering in the spot, Emily. Field of 7 lines up in the first. Right now, your 2-to-1 favorite is the 5, Malibu Brad. We'll start with that one for trainer Brian Cook. Horse claimed for 6,250 out of a start back on June the 9th. Since then, has been knocking on the door in those recent starts, just still unable to get over the hump.
Yeah, he's been consistent number-wise, stacks up with this field, so should have that advantage in here, but can often be not the most ideal horse out of the gate. Has that tendency to break a little bit slow. They have had to rush. That was the case last out. They're probably going to have to do so again today. But a horse that's been just consistent, not just in terms of finishing positions, but numbers, and that could give him just a slight edge in here. It's always a little bit tough to trust coming up short with those minor finishes. As good a shot as any on closing day.
Yeah, I mean, a close-up trip definitely does put the horse in the mix. It's going to be a matter of if the pace does come back to this one or not. They should get the jump, though, on some of the late closers in here. So maybe just with the right trip, just might kind of inherit the lead in the lane and then be able to run on late. We'll see if that's the case or not, but this one, regardless, sitting right now as your 2-to-1 favorite in the opener. The one horse in here is Ultimate Fighter. Ultimate Fighter gets Frank Reyes aboard today for trainer Francisco Villa. Comes out of the same race as Malibu Brad in the last couple. Actually finished ahead of Malibu Brad, 2 back. Finished behind that one in that last out. Inside, speed, and may go unchallenged early on.
And that's going to be the key, right? They're on the inside. Best race going 2 back, where they were able to hard send out of the gate. Was able to get clear, lone on the lead. Just ran out of gas late. Maybe that was a function of going a little bit too fast, too soon. Also coming off a very long 306-day layoff into that spot. Had the front wraps on that day. And then really in terms of form cycle, that would be the one pass that you would give for that September 22nd race, just if there was some regression. If they had him fully cranked, he did take some early money that day, so it might have been fully extended and then just backed up a little bit. So this would be the time to cycle back to a top. We do know his legs right now, no front wraps are aboard. And also as far as that September 22nd race, it was raining all day and it was light rain through the race, so just keep that in mind.
Steven, our cameraman in the paddock, is the best. He's so excited about the Bears' victory today that I'm just happy that they played this morning in London so he can just stay solely focused here on the Hawthorne Hawthorne signal, but he's done a great job all meet long. Thank you, sports fan Steven, as you got a good shot there of the one Ultimate Fighter here in race number 1. The 3 horse is Kirill the Thrill. David Cohen aboard this runner today for trainer Hugh Robertson. This is a horse that went 2 turns in that last out. Faced a $10,000 company, closed up a little bit of ground late there. And that was a horse that kind of raced into a little bit of traffic trouble as well. You shorten back up to the sprint. And I'm kind of curious to see where they are positionally in this spot. If they show speed, if they rate, just kind of what they choose to do in this spot today.
And they might not be completely sure all the way. They keep running back on pretty short rests. It's going to be the 3rd start in a row where it's just about a week between starts. And coming out of that route race, which did have a higher race par just 1 week ago, Skylane was a big favorite in there, getting the job done. But in terms of class from his other races this season, it's pretty similar from the state bred races at Canterbury Park. He makes a good appearance in here, probably going to run his race, but like some of the others, just needs sort of everything to fall his way in order to get the win.
Yeah, and he's another one. Then we mentioned Tim Padilla earlier, where they got a lot of horses from Canterbury, and they're not just laying them up. They're able to race. You've seen the same with some of these horses coming from Mac Robertson to his dad Hugh from Canterbury Park. And again, they're in to run. They're in to earn some money for these connections here. And that's a horse that I think could be a solid factor also. The 2 horse here is Avery's Day. Avery's Day from the barn of trainer Pat Clay. Israel Hernandez gets the call this morning. We're talking to Steve Simonovich about this horse. He was trying to figure out just where the horse raced in its debut. Did a little bit of research to find that out, but this was a horse you gave a little bit of a look to.
Well, going back to the debut again, yes, it's questionable as far as the circuit switch, but on debut he broke slow, ducked in towards the gap, he's kept inside, and ended up making up ground on a 3 to 5 open length chalk winner and continue to gallop out past the wire. He makes a good appearance in here. I just thought that trip was sneaky. We'll see how he's going to stack up with the circuit switch, but just enough of a mention off that trip that really doesn't translate when looking at the running line and finishing position.
Yeah, he's not a bad looking racehorse here. You're getting 9 to 1 on a horse making that 2nd start out. So be curious to see kind of what a trip Avery's Day gives us. And then lastly, let's touch on the 7 at 4 to 1 Gray Mike. Gray Mike opened up as the favorite in this spot, right now currently sitting as the 3rd choice at 4 to 1. Carlos Ulloa aboard for trainer Carlos Ramirez. But again, that early money, I'm just kind of wondering what we're going to get out of Gray Mike. Always seems to run on just a little bit too late.
Yeah, and he's coming out of those common races where really didn't have much excuse behind some of the others in here. The early money was significant. Maybe this day, maybe being outside of horses today, maybe the rider change, trying to mix things up and start number 21. I'm going to give a mention to one more horse because why not? In number 4, Flying Cricket, one that probably looks a little bit softer number-wise, but if you're just looking at horses that are somewhat of a new face, he's that horse. He's going to come in from those maiden special weight races where he's been overmatched all season long. Does have one competitive race at this level going back to last summer. So
you want to talk about him? I can't leave out the 6th then. We got to have Celia's Circle in here. Steven wants to get all the horses on camera for this race. So Rachel Slavinsky aboard Celia's Circle. This is a horse that actually showed some speed in a race here last September. After that, some time away. A couple of starts on the year this year. Didn't show a whole lot in that last out. You come into this start today. We'll see if they show a little bit of speed and maybe keep things honest for Ultimate Fighter, if anything, in the opener. But right now, Malibu Brad sitting as your 9 to 5 favorite in the 1st. We'll see if that one holds the favoritism and gets the job done. This horse is heading out here momentarily. Emily's heading to Villa Park to see all the crew for the Benjamins today. Good luck with your selections in the 1st. We'll join you again before race 2.
On the track for the first race, they'll go 6 furlongs. On the fast track field of 7, there are no changes. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta. This race starts the rolling daily doubles, rolling pick 3s, the 50-cent early pick 5, and the $1 place pick 8. Remember, mandatory payoff on all multi-race wagers today. Here's the field. 1, Ultimate Fighter, Frank Reyes riding. 2, Avery's Day will be handled by Israel Hernandez. 3, Kirill the Thrill, David Cohen. 4 is Flying Cricket, Adamar Santos riding. Here's 5, Malibu Brad with Olaf Hernandez. 6, Celia's Circle with Rachel Slavinsky. And the number 7 is Gray Mike, Carlos Yaloa. We'll bring him to the gate, and they'll all be there in about 5 minutes to kick off the Sunday program here at Hawthorne. Track fast, turf firm, 5 minutes for the first here at Hawthorne. Racing fans, little time remains for you to wager on today's first race here at Hawthorne. First race features rolling doubles, rolling pick threes, a 50-cent early pick 5, and the $1 place pick 8. Big 12 race card today as we wrap up the thoroughbred season here at Hawthorne. We do have one carryover pool. The 12th race, high five carryover, $2,198. Mandatory payoff, multi-race wagers today. Remember that we do have an extra pick 4 today. We have a middle pick 4, early pick 4 starting on the 2nd, the middle pick 4 starting on the 6th, and of course the late pick 4 will start on race 9. Track is fast, turf is firm, rail set at 0 feet on the turf course. We do thank you for joining us wherever you may be across the betting network, including here at Hawthorne, one of our off-track facilities, inter-track facilities, anywhere around the world via the internet. We do thank you for joining us. Another gorgeous day in the Chicagoland area weather-wise. If you're off track, we do have a strong headwind in the home stretch in excess of 20 miles per hour. Right now it's closer to 25. Strong headwind in the home stretch as of now. Moving towards the gate, just about a minute. Racing fans are at the starting gate for today's first race here at Hawthorne. First of 12 on the closing day program. Don't forget, harness racing begins here next Saturday night. First race goes at 7:10. Harness racing begins Saturday, June 20. That's October 19th. Harness racing begins Saturday, October 19th. They're loading up for the first here at Hawthorne. Two more left to go in, waiting for Flying Cricket and Gray Mike. Waiting for Gray Mike. They're all in the gate. They're off. From the outside, Celia's Circle trying for the lead. Up along the rail, there goes Ultimate Fighter. Coming away third, Malibu Brad, Flying Cricket fourth. Then it's Careel the Thrill, followed by Gray Mike on the far outside, and Avery's Day is along the rail in seventh, about 9 lengths from the leaders. They have a half mile to go, and it's Ultimate Fighter leading the way. Celia's Circle in second. Malibu Brad is third. And on the inside, Flying Cricket fourth. 5 lengths back, Gray Mike up to be fifth. Careel the Thrill is sixth, and Avery's Day is trailing more than 15 lengths behind the trio at the top of the stretch. Here comes Malibu Brad, 3 wide. Around the turn, they're in the stretch. Malibu Brad on the far outside up to take the lead. On the inside, Ultimate Fighter trying to fight back second. Celia's Circle losing ground third. Gray Mike fourth. In fifth, Flying Cricket inside the final furlong. It's Malibu Brad in full command. Ultimate Fighter racing second, coming down to the wire. Malibu Brad in the Sunday opener. Malibu Brad is 6-length winner. Here's Avery's Day coming from far back to be up for second. And then it may have been Gray Mike third over Ultimate Fighter fourth. In today's first race, 5, Malibu Brad finished first. 2, Avery's Day second. 7, Gray Mike third. 1, Ultimate Fighter fourth. 5-2-7-1 is posted. It's unofficial. 113.75 the running time. Returning the unofficial winner, 5, Malibu Brad. Malibu Brad is owned by Florenzio Perez. Brian Cook trains Olaf Hernandez, the winning rider. Still unofficial. We had a claim in the first race. 5, Malibu Brad was claimed. Gennady Dorochenko, new owner trainer, claims 5, Malibu Brad. Today's first race is official, running time 113.75.